And what is up, everyone? It is your boy Farai, and today we're basically going to be looking at some mystery plugins. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So basically, the whole kind of thing for today is if you can find these plugins, you definitely deserve to use them. These are some really old kind of plugins that come straight out of 2007, I think. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So as you can see right now, I'm using this basically this brick wall type limiter type vibe going on here in FL just to get my gain right, just for kind of broadcasting levels, let's say. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to look at all these plugins here and just kind of see what sounds different. This is basically a very clean plugin, even though I'm using the vintage kind of curve, so you can kind of hear maybe some slight differences in terms of the compression. We're compressing at about -9. And yeah, so basically the first plugin we'll look at is I'm saying the 2LA, but this is basically like the 2ME, and this looks so much like the Cakewalk 2A. And yeah, I just hope that the person who made these plugins basically hopefully didn't get some sort of cease and desist letter for kind of copying this brand. But yeah, let's see how good they sound. These were not basically made using emulation, right? So a company like Waves or UAD actually look at the frequency response of certain gear and test it at every little increment until they feel like they have emulated a piece of gear to their fullest potential. So these are just made using SynthMaker, I think, from what I understand. But that doesn't mean that they don't sound bad as well, and they're free, so we might as well check these out. So I'll start off by disabling this, and you can hear it's a lot more soft. And we will engage this right here and then kind of just see how much gain we can get, just so we kind of at the same relative level, and roundabout there is cool in terms of gain. And then let's try and do a bit of compression here and there, and as you can hear, the compressor hits pretty hard, and it kind of does a bit of limiting as well, because if you got nothing, it's not as loud. If you go up a little bit, it kind of gets quite nasty. But used right, I think you can. So let's drop the level and then boost that a little bit. That doesn't sound too bad. I mean, it is usable. So let's A/B between the two. So this is me speaking in the modern LA. This is me speaking on the fruity LA. So I can hear off top it's kind of a bit cleaner, the fruity version, rather than this plugin right here. And yeah, this does have a weird kind of low mid. So maybe that's quite nice. You quite like that. But yeah, that's basically that plugin. The next one is Trippin Out right now, and I'll just speak about it before I basically test it. As you can see, this is basically almost the same as this plugin. They got the same gain reduction meter, and I read on a forum when it was released back in 07 or whenever that it's almost the same as that plugin, but it has a variable kind of attack and release from what I understand. And yeah, let's give that a go and see how it sounds. So this is me speaking into that. We'll turn the gain reduction down. And as you can see, these plugins are kind of on LSD. I mean, they are free, and I'm sure this guy didn't want to spend all his time making them, but it makes for a more interesting experience, So the gain on this sounds pretty nice. I quite like that. We are pretty hot, so let's hit onto that gain reduction and see. So this sounds a lot cleaner than this one. Mic check. And I quite like the way it kind of morphs the mid-range. Maybe we are doing a bit too much compression, but it does have a limiter on it. If I turn the limiter off, on, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that plugin. And yeah, just before I kind of go further, disclaimers that these are all 32-bit plugins, so some of these don't work, especially this 1176. It looks pretty sweet, right? It doesn't really work that well in a 64-bit environment, so you might have to switch over to your 32-bit DAW. But running a 32-bit DAW in a 64-bit environment, right? So if your computer 64-bit, is not the worst thing. From what I understand, it will use more RAM than usual. So, I don't really know how that all works. I think 32-bit only uses 4 gigs of RAM, but I think you can use a bit more when you're in a 64-bit computer. So yeah. Let's check out this 1176, and this sounds pretty cool. I don't know what I did here. We're pretty hot right now, so let's kind of go back to our standard settings. And for those who don't know, there's kind of a setting called Dr. Pepper, I guess, which is basically like a 10 o'clock, 4 o'clock, something like that. It's just basically a good starting point for your 1176 type plugins. So we can kind of drive it a little bit, turn the output down, and yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. This has got a nice little characteristic to it. Let's try out the 8:1 compressor. You can hear it squishing a bit more. Try out the 12:1 compressor, and that's pretty loud as well. And the 20:1 compressor. So I mean, they all sound pretty sweet. Hopefully I was clicking on it. It is a pretty dark plugin, so I can't really see. Mic check, mic check. I quite like the 4:1 more. I think the 20:1 is really like destroying the signal. And just to really test if the 1176 works, you can change the attack and release to the fastest setting, and this is kind of what, you know, rock mixers do to kind of get the vocal to sound really distorted. So as you can see, I'll turn that all the way up, and you can really hear how my voice gets crushed right there. So that's how you know at least the guy did pretty good at emulating these, even though they aren't using any actual emulation algorithms, I guess, if you want to call them that. Cool. The next one is the modern Illustrator, which is pretty cool for those who work in FL. This is pretty much like Fruity Panomatic, just without the LFO tool. But basically this allows you to place an instrument somewhere in a room, right? So in a kind of three-dimensional space. As you can see, we can go left to right, top to bottom. And this is perfect for like placing background vocals. And if you really want to get further back, you can kind of go and speak over here, you know what I'm saying, and move closer up front. So that's pretty cool. I mean, let's just test it out and see if we can do a little mic check. Yeah. So yeah, that has a nice little chamber sound to it. I quite like this plugin. I think I'll keep it and use that with Fruity Panomatic. So yeah, these plugins are pretty like sweet. So I'm basically, these are the Neve Emulations, which, you know, for those who know, Neve are some of the, you know, they sit up there with SSL, and these are all preamp emulations. So as you can see, you know, the graphics aren't the best on all of these, but they do sound pretty cool. They have their own kind of characteristic. I'm actually using one of these as a preamp on my little plugin chain right now, just to test it out and see how it sounds. And as you can see, the names, I think 66, 73, 81, and 84 represent the years they were made, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, there are very subtle differences in each design. I guess they were remodeled every time. Shout out Rupert Neve. But yeah, these are all basically preamps with EQs on them. So if you see in some famous studios, Dr. Dre's is pretty famous for using this 73, as many other engineers are, because this apparently has some of the best kind of lower mids, and just in terms of like neutral sound, it has a really great sound. So yeah, let's pretty much turn this off and then see what we can get with these. So this is the signal as it is, and I don't know if I was playing around with these earlier, but if we just turn the gain up, you can kind of hear how different the gain sounds. It kind of has like a broadcast kind of gain to it. Let's just AB, microphone check, microphone check, microphone check, microphone check. Sounds pretty sweet to me. I don't know what gain we're using over here, 12 dB, so yeah, round about there. Should give us an even comparison. Even comparison. Oh, but we're doing compression, so let's turn off the compression. Microphone check, testing 1 2 3. Microphone check, testing 1 2 3. Microphone check, testing 1 2 3. So that you can hear the kind of difference. So let's move over to our, let's just kind of get all of these the same, and we'll switch over to the 73, which is apparently the best out of all of them. Oh, we've had this illusion on. You guys didn't tell me. Okay, so now we can really test it out. Microphone check, 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 mic check, mic check. So yeah, these all sound pretty cool. Just a quick rundown on these plugins. I'll just go back to kind of the 73 because that kind of sounds really nice. And yeah, basically you've got, actually let's not use this because the audio, I mean the graphics are glitched. So we've got a low pass filter on here, as you can hear. how it kind of cuts the bass out. We have a low end boost, mic check, testing 1 2 3, mic check. As you can hear, pretty hardcore settings right there. And we got a high end boost, which you know, you can add a little bit in, and it sounds really cool. I'm really happy with these kind of free plugins. You know, as a disclaimer again, these do tend to really destroy your computer. You know, these take a long time to load. I mean, not destroy your computers and viruses, but they just do take a long time to load, as well as they are pretty unstable. So if you do like the aesthetic of these plugins, comment below if you can find them. If you can find them, you know, I'm saying, real crate digging hours over here. We are the true you know, internet VST free people, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, and these I won't really go through. This is a mastering compressor, for those who know the, I forget the name of this plugin, but yeah. And then you got this as well, which I'm guessing is some sort of mastering equalizer, but I don't have any kind of instrumental or anything to mix. So I think that'll be the end of this video. And yeah, I hope you found this video interesting. This is just kind of a random video. This is not much of a review, but it is kind of an enlightenment of the past. Kind of just a saying all sorts of wrong phrases today, but it's whatever. I'm so excited about these plugins. So yeah, like and subscribe. Feel free to recommend any plugins that you might have found on the internet. If you can find these, comment below. And yeah, have a good one. Peace out.